I'll Be Back: How to Get Customers to Come Back Again and Again. Written and narrated by Shep Hyken.
Get ready. What will I learn from this book? Part 1. The Basics of Customer Loyalty. Chapter 1. The Arnie. Question: what's the very best way to build a business that thrives during good times and bad? The answer? Win an Arnie, my special term for the experience you deliver that helps turn the people who buy from you into repeat customers. Customers who think to themselves, or even say it out loud, "I'll be back." But here's the thing. Arnies don't happen by accident. We have to plan for them if we want to win them again and again. This chapter addresses the following questions. How do you build a business that thrives during good times and bad? Is there a strategy that can set your company up for success, no matter what curveballs the world may throw your way? What are the 3 big ideas that will help you get the most from this book? Chapter 2. The most important measurement in business. There are plenty of ways companies measure success and customer service. The famous NPS, Net Promoter Score, or CSAT, customer satisfaction, are 2 popular ones. But all that data about how good you are doesn't mean anything if the customer doesn't come back. It's simple. Everyone must do the job they were hired to do, but they also have another responsibility: to make the customer want to come back. This chapter addresses the following questions. What one trackable trend should leaders make sure they monitor every morning? What should we be measuring? Happiness or behavior? Why do customers come back? Is a repeat customer the same as a loyal customer? How do you get customers to create a strong relationship with your company? How do you expand a relationship with a customer so that it's strong enough to sustain multiple renewals of trust? Chapter 3. The Foundational Concepts. This is my take on Jan Carlson's classic Moments of Truth concept about managing customer interactions. While he said they go one of 2 ways, good or bad, I believe they can go one of 3 ways, good, bad, or average. I have names for these interactions. The bad ones are moments of misery. The average ones are moments of mediocrity. The good ones are moments of magic. This chapter addresses the following questions. What is a moment of truth? What is a moment of misery? What is a moment of mediocrity? What is a moment of magic? And what is amazement? Chapter 4. The Culture Challenge. Our employees will treat customers only as well as they themselves are treated. In this chapter, we look at the best ways to create and sustain a company culture that makes for loyal employees and loyal customers. This is for everybody. This chapter addresses the following questions. What is an "I'll be back" working culture? Why does an organization's culture matter? How does what happens inside the organization affect the customer experience? What core principles of a working culture make it easy for repeat customers to turn into loyal customers? Chapter 5. Nothing has changed in customer service. It's not complicated. Nothing has really changed. The customer wants to be happy throughout their experience. When a customer has a problem, they let us know. We resolve it. That's the way it's always been and always will be. You might argue that there's a new way to do business using technology. While the way we go about it may have changed, the beginning and the end of the customer's journey with us is still the same. This chapter will address the following questions. What is the essence of customer service? How has customer service changed? What do customers really want? What can we learn from unhappy customers? Part 2. Making Loyalty a Reality. Chapter 6. Want to be amazing? Just be better than average all the time. Being amazing is within the grasp of every company and every person in the company. It doesn't mean you're always delivering over-the-top customer service. It means you're better than average, even just a little better than average, all of the time. It's a consistent and predictable experience that causes customers to use the word always before something positive that makes a company amazing. For example, they always call me back quickly. They are always so helpful. And a big one is, even when there's a problem, I know I can always count on them. A little better than average. Anyone can do it if they put their mind to it. This chapter addresses the following questions. How do you change the way customers think about your company? What does amazement look like in practice? How do you get customers to rate you 5 out of 5 and come back for more? And what is the biggest obstacle to creating a consistently positive customer experience? Chapter 7, the shortest customer service speech in history. If you gave me 30 seconds to deliver a great speech about customer service, I could pull it off and have about 28 seconds to spare. This speech would go as follows. Be nice. I could almost end this chapter there, and it would be the shortest chapter ever written about customer service. But in fact, there's a lot to say about those two deceptively simple sounding words. Be nice is common sense that, unfortunately, may not be so common. In business, being nice is part of delivering customer service. It's the positive attitude, the respect you show the customer, and the way you make them feel appreciated. It's an essential part of any customer service strategy. The best system isn't complete without the positive feelings the customer experiences from doing business with you. This chapter addresses the following questions. What 2 simple words are the secret to a successful customer service program? What must you do to get customers to decide to do business with you again and again? And what is the difference between a behavioral fit and a technical fit in a customer service position? Chapter 8, how to create real customer loyalty. Customer loyalty is not about a lifetime. It's about the next time, every time. Don't confuse a repeat customer with a loyal customer. That's the difference between a good marketing program and a true loyalty program. Loyalty is about creating an emotional connection with the customer that makes price irrelevant and can bulletproof you from your competition. Or should I say, Terminator-proof you from your competition. This chapter addresses the following questions. Why do most loyalty programs fail to create customer loyalty? What is the difference between a loyalty program and a marketing program? Why is fine a word you never want to hear from your customer? And where does true empathy for the customer start? Chapter 9, where everybody knows your name. What is personalization? Remember the 1980s sitcom Cheers? It was a popular sitcom that debuted in 1982 and remained popular for over 10 years. The theme song, Where Everybody Knows Your Name, was also the theme of the entire show. People like going to and going back to places where they are remembered. Start by using the customer's name. That is the root of a personalized experience. In this chapter, I'll show you how you can move on from there. This chapter addresses the following questions. How do you make customers feel as if they're recognized and remembered and valued as individuals? Why does remembering a customer's name and history with your company have such a powerful effect on customer loyalty? How do you personalize the customer experience? And what data can you leverage to make the customer feel at home? Chapter 10, what do you stand for? This is a major question with huge implications for creating and sustaining customer loyalty. Your company's values, including but not limited to the values that drive your community and charitable projects, are a powerful magnetizing force. They pull like-minded customers who share those values into your orbit. And once they're in that orbit, as long as you keep supporting the values, they'll keep wanting to do business with you and keep referring other customers who feel the same way they do. This chapter addresses the following questions. What is cause marketing and why does it have such a powerful effect on customer loyalty? Is cause marketing right for your organization? What goes into a successful cause marketing initiative? And what companies have used cause marketing to create strong, enduring customer loyalty that serves as an advantage against competitors? Chapter 11, self-service. Give the customer control if it creates a better experience. Some argue that self-service is not really customer service, but it is. In many cases, it's creating an easier and faster approach to getting problems resolved, researching information, or making a purchase. Customers like taking control when it's easy, efficient, and convenient. Don't miss out on giving your customers a good self-service opportunity. This chapter addresses the following questions. When does offering a self-service option drive greater customer loyalty? What can you do to find new ways to let customers choose what happens next? Why is setting up and expanding self-service options a must, not an option? And what are the 6 convenience principles? Chapter 12, no friction, please. How easy is it to do business with your company? What can you do to make the experience of working with you smoother, more intuitive, and less of a hassle? When everything else is equal, that is, where there's a good product and good customer service, the company that is most convenient to do business with will win. Lower friction and eliminate anything that would get in the way of the customer saying they are so easy to do business with. This chapter addresses the following questions. How can companies remove friction from the customer experience? What is the friction reduction cycle? How do customer expectations about convenience affect purchase decisions and customer loyalty? And how do companies create friction for their customers without even realizing that's what they're doing? Chapter 13, you can't automate a relationship. In the digital age that we're in, it's easy to let websites, chatbots, and artificial intelligence take over. Don't become so enamored with the tech that you dehumanize the company. Very few companies have been able to create loyalty with a 100% digital platform. Amazon and Zappos, now owned by Amazon, are 2 of the few. This chapter addresses the following questions. How can you build an emotional connection as part of your customer's experience? What is the human touch and how can it affect customer loyalty if you never connect in person with the customer? What is a simple way to create an effective human touch program? And how do some companies build an emotional connection with customers with little or no person-to-person contact? Chapter 14, you're terminated. Why would a customer choose not to do business with you or terminate the relationship? Well, here are 10 of the most likely reasons. Learn them. Make sure none of them impact your relationship with a given customer. And if for some reason you decide it's time to terminate a relationship with a customer, here's how you do it without causing problems down the line. This chapter addresses the following questions. What are the most likely reasons for a customer to decide to stop doing business with you? How can you keep customers from ending the relationship with your company? And when does it make sense to cut ties with a customer and how should you do that? Chapter 15, where the rubber meets the road. Now that I've shared the most important principles that connect to creating and sustaining customer loyalty, you're ready to make it happen in your organization. This chapter gives you a 6-step process that you can use to develop specific customer loyalty initiatives that will fit perfectly in your world. This chapter will address the following questions. What is the process for creating an experience that customers choose to come back to again and again? How long is this process likely to take? Who should be involved in it? And why is knowing what your competition does only the beginning, not the end of the discussion? Epilogue. I want you to come back. My closing words and comments. I don't want this book to be a one-time read. I want it to be a guide that brings the reader back again and again. In other words, I want the reader to say, I'll be back. The epilogue wraps up the entire book and addresses the following questions. How do you start a loyalty revolution? And how do you build internal alliances that will help you to launch and sustain that revolution? Part 1. The Basics of Customer Loyalty. In this part of the book, you'll learn why customer loyalty is so important and why a repeat customer is not necessarily a loyal customer. You'll also get an overview of the core principles that make customer loyalty possible. Chapter 1. The Arnie. Question. What's the best way to build a business that thrives during good times and bad? The answer? Win an Arnie. At this point, you're probably asking yourself, what's an Arnie? I've never heard of that. Well, you're right. You haven't. And there's a reason you haven't heard of it before. An Arnie is a special term for the experience you deliver that helps turn the people who buy from you into repeat customers, customers who think to themselves or even say right out loud, I'll be back. Arnies don't happen by accident. We have to plan for them if we want to win them. But here's the thing. An Arnie is not an award given out once a year to a few elite people. It happens every day, all the time, whenever customers make that critical decision that they want to keep doing business with the company. It's a moment that has to be earned over and over again. Up to this point, you may not have considered the possibility that a successful business strategy could be built around Hollywood legend and former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger's most famous tagline. But Arnold's best-known line, I'll be back, points us toward a vitally important principle that when it comes to creating and sustaining a competitive edge in the marketplace, repeat business, and especially business that results from customer loyalty, makes all the difference. Those three words, I'll be back, are game changers. This book is about generating them more often, more strategically, and more reliably than your competition. What we're striving for is a customer who thinks and says, I'll be back always. The question is, how do we get there? The more moments you can deliver that support, encourage, and reinforce the I'll be back response, the better off your business will be. And the greater the likelihood that it will survive and thrive no matter what curveballs the marketplace, the global economy, or the world at large may throw your way. So, whether you deal directly with customers, you lead a team that does, or you're a leader who wants to build a better customer experience into the organizational DNA of your company, you've come to the right place. If you're intrigued by the possibility of getting large numbers of your customers to say, I'll be back, you've come to the right place. And if you're an entrepreneur looking to build your business around the idea of attracting and retaining loyal customers, well, you've come to the right place. If you fall into any of these categories, this book is for you. Now, before we get started in earnest, let me share 3 simple ideas with you that will help you get the most out of this book. Big idea number 1, set yourself apart by opening your mind. Arnold Schwarzenegger said, what's the point of being on this earth if you're going to be like everyone else? Some of what I'll be sharing with you in these pages falls into the category of common sense. When it comes to customer service, common sense isn't always that common. You may have read or heard about a few of these ideas before or be practicing some of them already. Well, that's great. However, some of what I'll be sharing with you in this book will probably feel a little unfamiliar to you. Certain concepts and strategies may even challenge your paradigm and take you out of your comfort zone. Well, embrace that. Don't let force of habit keep you from trying something new, something that could help you take your team and your organization to the next level. By keeping an open mind, by doing things you haven't done before, you can begin the process of positioning your product or service as something unique and irreplaceable in your customer's world. You will set yourself apart in a positive way. That's a good thing. Big idea number 2. Be willing to change your processes. Arnold Schwarzenegger says, if you don't find the time, if you don't do the work, you don't get the results. If you've made it this far in the book, I'm assuming you agree that building your business around the principle of customer loyalty is a sound strategic decision. You should know that it's also something that requires sustained effort, flexibility, and the willingness to create and execute entirely new processes. This will take time, effort, commitment, and coalition building. Make those investments. You won't regret doing so, I promise. Big idea number 3, take action. You can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets. Arnold Schwarzenegger. At the end of each chapter, you'll find key points, conversation starters, and one or more action items listed under Take Action. Use them. Don't just read the ideas and strategies for enhancing customer loyalty. Do something with them. Discuss them with your colleagues. The only way this book can have a positive impact on you and your team is if you make a habit, chapter by chapter, of acting on what you've learned. One more thing. The principles in this book are timeless and relevant to all industries. They can be and have been implemented successfully at companies large and small. Occasionally, I'll offer case studies or examples to illustrate a certain point. Don't get distracted by the differences between the specific businesses I mentioned and your business. Focus on the commonalities and on the key lessons that the stories convey. On a similar note, please don't be distracted by the word customer if that is not what you call the person who buys your products and or your services. I use the word customer as an all-purpose identifier. Everything I share about customers is equally relevant to any of the people your organization serves: clients, guests, members, patients, visitors, residents, you name it. For the purpose of this book, a customer is anyone who does business with you. Here's the bottom line. The very best way to secure sustained growth for your business over time is to increase the number of repeat customers you serve and to turn as many of those repeat customers as possible into loyal customers. Perhaps you're wondering if a loyal customer is the same as a repeat customer. Maybe you're wondering, how can you create and maintain customer loyalty? These are some of the big questions that we'll be examining together in the chapters that follow. Let's get started, but before we do, here's one last insight from Arnold. Be hungry for success, hungry to make your mark, hungry to be seen and to be heard, hungry to have an effect. As you move up and become successful, be sure also to be hungry for helping others. Arnold Schwarzenegger. In this next chapter, we'll examine the most overlooked metric in business today. Key points. The 3 magic words in customer service are, I'll be back. The best way to secure a sustainable growth position for your business over time is to increase the number of repeat customers you serve and to turn as many of those repeat customers as possible into loyal customers. The more moments there are that support, encourage, and reinforce the I'll be back response, the better off your business will be, and the greater the likelihood that it will survive and thrive. Building your business around the principle of customer loyalty requires sustained effort, flexibility, and the willingness to create and execute entirely new processes. This book will take you out of your comfort zone. Embrace that. And the only way this book can have positive impact on you and your team is if you make a habit, chapter by chapter, of acting on what you've learned. Conversation starters. On a scale of 1 to 10, how willing are you to try something new when it comes to interacting with your customers? What processes would your best customers most like to see changed? What actions have you already taken to learn more about your best customers? What further actions could you take? Take action. Keep reading. Move on to Chapter 2.